It's Hazel Jarvis and I'm wearing the right coloured shirt to paint iris.
So today we're going to be painting these gorgeous iris.
So I want to combine elements of this picture and this picture, although I'm going to change the colour on this. So I'm going to start with a very light crayon drawing. So I basically have two iris stems and I'm going to work fast and loose on these. So I don't want to draw too much, I just want to get an idea of the placement.
And as per usual now, we're going to start with a little coloured pencil sketch.
Even though you can't see it very well, I have 4 flowers drawn and I'm going to plunge right in. In a departure today, I'm going to use my palette because I want to have lots of colour mixed so that I can work pretty quickly. I love the purple of iris and I'm going to start with the one on the left in this colour. I've printed my pictures out, I've mixed up my purple, so I'm good to go. And you always want to start with the petal that is closest to you. So I'm going to start with this opening bud up here. You can see how lovely and rich this purple is. And while it's still wet, I'm going to put in just a tiny touch more of the pink at the base. Like so. And then I'm going to put in one more petal. And I'm going to leave just a tiny bit of space in between. I'm going to shift this bud up to here and then I'll do this gorgeous flower next. So I have lots of paint on my paintbrush and I just press down onto the paper and just press with that brush. And then I lift off. So we'll start with the petal that's closest to us. We'll do the other 2 fall petals and then we'll do the 3 standard or upright petals. And because they have this beautiful frilly broken up edge, you want to go in and out. You don't want it to be too solid. You can add a little of water too to make it lighter. I'm going to use this orange 33 for the beard. And I put it on a different brush so that it stays nice and clean. So I'm painting in the upright petal and I'm doing it just a little bit lighter than the fall or the downward petal because we're seeing the back side. We'll put in the second upright petal. And keep it pretty pale. So I add lots of water to it. A third upright through here, but I want to let these 2 dry before I add it. And I also want, because I want to be sure that this one is darker, so there's a contrast between the 2 backs and a front. I paint in the other 2 fall petals on either side. You can see how incredibly wet these iris are. So I'm going to wait until they dry before I do the stem. So now I'm going to paint in the other side. And I've got these lovely sort of salmony pink with the brown over here and this wonderful striped pattern. So this is going to be my second stem. So this is going to be a very, very dilute, even paler than this, mix of my pink, my permanent rose and my cadmium yellow. I'm going to start with the petal that is closest to you and I like to give it a fairly long neck. So it comes up from the center and it comes up. Now we'll add the other 2 standard or upright petals on either side. We can see how all the petals go into the green of the stem and then they disappear into this sort of papery sheath. So we'll paint in the stem, let it dry, and then add the sort of papery sheath. Next, we tackle this because it's behind this flower. And same procedure as before, we put in the first upright petal that is closest to us. This is my front flower, so I'm now going to add the stem and the leaves. And before I paint anything, I just take my brush and I either center and I think about an angle for the stems because I don't want it to go straight down like that. I want it to curve inwards. I'm adding periwinkle to my sap green so I get this lovely sort of dusty green that's so typical of the iris. Here we come in with the stem, and I'm going to run a stem all the way down. I'm going to work on this bud and put some leaves in the front, and then I'm going to fill in the back of this. Because my bud is so wet, I'm just going to leave a little area of space between. And it has a very interesting juncture here. And we'll add another one on the other side just for balance. So we've got a lot going on here. We've got a dead flower here. We've got what looks like another bud or a dead bud here. But we'll work on this area, but we'll simplify it a little. This papery membrane enables us to leave a space here and is actually jolly useful because we can fill in wherever we have gaps, we can fill in with that membrane. So we'll again, everything is still very wet, so I'm going to take a 5-minute break and let everything dry, and then we'll come back and we'll finish off the details and add some more leaves. I have a space here on my page, so I'm going to add another iris stem, and I'm going to do it in pale blue. And I'm basically going to reuse this shape for it. So beginning with this flower, I'm adding a third back leaf, a third back petal rather. To fill in some of the gaps with the papery membrane, and you'll see how useful this is as a compositional device. Right there, little dark, so I'm going to lighten it with a tiny bit, just with a dab with my tissue. We're going to add just a few of these lines, but not too many. Go just a little bit darker on the base of this fall petal. So now all we need to do is put in the final stem right here and over here and add a couple of leaves. Painting iris seems horribly complicated, but if you follow the exercises step by step, you should be halfway there. I can't wait to see what you do.